My late dad's sister contacted me and offered money to help pay for my dream college. However, my mom went behind my back and cunningly used it to buy a car for my stepsister, saying an imbecile like me didn't deserve it anyway. So I went no contact. 3 years later, mom called me, saying she wasn't left with a single penny to her name and begged me for help because I'm her blood, after all. But I laughed in her face. My parents got divorced when I was 3 years old after a few years of being in an unhappy marriage. They had joint custody of me, and I would spend half the month with my mom and the other half with my dad. Initially, things were good, but when I was around 6 years old, my mom started dating Sam, and he did not like me much. Even as a 6-year-old, I could sense that, and we mostly just stayed away from each other as much as we could. Sam also had a daughter who was 5 years older than me, my stepsister, Fiona. After being with each other for about a year and a half, Sam and Fiona moved in with us. Unlike me, Fiona's parents did not have a joint custody arrangement because her mother wasn't exactly interested in being a mom in the first place. So she spent all her time with us and would only see her mom every other weekend. Fiona was exactly the kind of daughter that my mother had always wanted. She was feminine and intelligent in the same way my mom was, and I could see that they had started developing a good relationship very quickly. Obviously, I was jealous, and I started doing things to get her attention, but it only seemed to annoy her. After a couple of years, Sam and my mother got married, and I started being pushed even more into the shadows. But I never complained about it to anybody, not even my dad, because I did not want to be taken away from my mother. I thought that was what was going to happen if I complained about her. So I was unhappy when I stayed with my mother, but never said anything about it until I hit my teens and things started going even more downhill. Fiona was a huge bully. When I was younger, she would only intimidate me. But as we grew older, it became more and more difficult to stay with her because she constantly put me down. And my mom didn't seem to care. I was her biological daughter, but it seemed like she cared more about her stepdaughter. Naturally, I started picking fights with my mom as well, and our relationship started getting worse. Even then, I never complained about it to anyone because, even in my teens, I was still holding on to the hope that at some point she was going to realize that I was not a bad kid and all I needed was some attention and affection from her. Unfortunately, that never happened, and our relationship steadily kept getting worse until it all came to a head when my dad passed away. And a particular incident made me have no contact with my mother altogether. This was almost 3 years back when I was around 18, and I was about to start college. But thanks to my mom, I didn't even get to attend the college of my choice. My dad had been suffering from heart problems for a long time, and one day we just received a call from his sister telling us that he had unfortunately passed away in his sleep due to a heart attack. He was just in his mid-40s, but I guess he had the foresight to realize that because of his heart problems, he might not get the time or opportunity to set his affairs in order before he passed away. So he did have a will, and he had mostly left everything to either me or his sister. All the money he had left in his account was supposed to be split between his sister and me, and everything else he owned was to be sold, with the money also split equally between us. It was a decent amount, and I realized it would be enough to get me through college without working or taking out a student loan. But my dream college was not here. It was in another state, and I would need some extra money for that. By then, I'd even been accepted into the college of my choice, and I knew that my mom or Sam were never going to help me take out a student loan or even cover the expenses of my travel. So the only option I had was to speak to my aunt. I didn't actually intend to ask her for money or financial help. I just wanted her to co-sign the student loan for me. I even invented a story about why my mom wouldn't be able to do it because I did not want to throw her under the bus. By then, I had become quite adept at keeping secrets about how my mom really treated me. I know people must think of me as stupid for never outing her, but honestly, it had become a habit by then. Especially after losing my father, I could not stand the thought of being kicked out by my mom as well. Because no matter how badly she treated me, I thought she was still my mom and I should stay with her. If I had told my aunt the truth about why my mom would not co-sign my loan, I definitely would have lost her. But now, knowing what was about to happen, I guess I should have sold her out without a second thought. Anyway, when I told my aunt about my problem, she readily offered to help me out with the extra money I needed so I could attend the college of my choice without me even having to ask her. That was just about a month after my dad had passed away, And I was thrilled because I was so sure I would be able to attend my dream college. After that, I kept in touch with my aunt to find out how the legal proceedings regarding the will and stuff were going on and how soon I would be able to get the money since I had to secure my spot and pay my tuition. We were in contact for about a month, but then all of a sudden, she blocked me everywhere. Shortly after that, maybe a week or two later, I realized that my mom had gifted a brand new luxury car to Fiona. I don't know why, call it a gut feeling or whatever, but I just knew that my mom had something to do with the fact that my aunt had started ghosting me all of a sudden. So I confronted her about it a couple of days after she gave Fiona that car. I asked her if she had spoken to my aunt, not really accusing her of anything at first. My mom denied it, but then I started pushing, and she was finally forced to tell me that she had indeed spoken to my aunt. After I had told her that I was going to be moving out shortly so I could attend my dream college, she had figured out that even with the money my dad had left me, I wouldn't be able to cover all the expenses. Since they were not helping me, somebody else must have been helping me out, and there was only one person she could think of, my aunt. So she reached out to her and told her the truth about me. I was very confused as to what she meant by that. Then my mom told me that she had simply told my aunt that giving me money was going to be a bad investment and that I was not trustworthy enough, so she should just transfer the money to her instead. My mom claimed that way at least the money would be in safe hands, and she would make sure it went only towards my college expenses and nothing else. Basically, she implied to my aunt that I was a gold-digging thief who was into all sorts of shenanigans like alcohol and drugs. And apparently I was even a shoplifter. She made me out to be some sort of juvenile delinquent who was definitely going to waste all the money she sent. My mom cunningly convinced my aunt that I was just good at pretending to be normal, but in reality, I had stolen money from my own parents several times. I had the reputation of only going out with rich guys so they could help maintain my lifestyle because my parents refused to fund it. Last but not least, I was an addict who was definitely going to blow all the money on illegal stuff. Unfortunately, since I never told my aunt about how much my mother hated me and loved Fiona, she bought all of it. Of course, my mom wouldn't be lying about me, so she blocked me, cut off all ties with me, and sent the money she was supposed to send to my mother instead, so I could be sent to rehab. I was furious that my mother had just ruined my chances of getting to attend the college I wanted because she couldn't stand the idea of me being more successful than Fiona. Even though she hadn't said it, I knew that had to be the reason. The college I had been accepted into was far better than the one Fiona had graduated from, and it was going to open up a lot of avenues for me because of the name associated with it. I don't want to brag, but it was an Ivy League college, and I knew for a fact that it was the only reason my mother did not want me attending. It wouldn't look good in comparison with Fiona. That's why she went out of her way to ruin my chances by refusing to let my aunt help me out financially. On top of that, she actually used that money to buy her stepdaughter a luxury car. On the day she confessed all of this to me, she said it all so casually as if it was no big deal at all, and that was the final nail in the coffin for me. I finally lost it at her and let all my anger and frustration out of my system. I think I must have screamed at her for hours, but she still didn't apologize and didn't even pretend to be sorry about any of this. In fact, I still remember at one point, she actually had the audacity to tell me that she was glad she had taken the money and used it to buy a car for Fiona because at least that way it would be put to some good use, since an imbecile like me did not deserve it anyway. I don't even know what she meant by that because, as far as I was concerned, I was a straight A student and had always been at the top of my class, and still managed to be good at sports and other extracurricular stuff. Fiona, on the other hand, had always been mediocre at everything. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but if anybody deserved to go to an Ivy League college, it would have been me. I didn't agree with her back then. I was not an imbecile, and I still don't agree with her. I guess now she might have changed her opinion because I'm doing far better. I'm 21 now, still in college, but I've been working and earning alongside majoring in economics. It's been difficult, but it's worth it knowing that I'm going to have accomplished everything on my own, with a little help from my friends and their parents. After I had a fight with my mom, I left home once and for all. For those few who are wondering, yes, I did try to get in touch with my aunt several times afterward, but I guess my mother had really sold her on the idea that I was an addict. I was not a good kid, and giving me the money would have been a terrible idea. So she never responded to me. And after a couple of weeks, I stopped trying as well. My dad's parents were no longer around. They had passed away when I was in middle school. My mom's parents lived out of state, and even if I managed to get in touch with them, they would probably believe my mom over me. I didn't have any other relatives I was close to, so I ended up sleeping on my friends' couches for weeks. I felt bad about it, but I had to tell them about my problems and ask their parents to help me out because I was desperate to get a college education, even if it was not the Ivy League college I deserved. It was tricky because they had their own kids as well, and some of them even had more than one to worry about. On top of that, they couldn't exactly drive me away either because that would seem very heartless. My dad's will was still in probate, which meant I wouldn't get the money for a good few months more, and I couldn't afford to wait that long. Somehow I was able to convince all the parents that I was going to return the money to them as soon as I received my inheritance. And thankfully, they helped me out financially. Even though I couldn't attend the college of my choice, I still ended up in a pretty decent place. I've started returning the money to everyone who helped me out, and I'm incredibly grateful to all of them because I don't think I would have been able to do it without them. I'm making the most of the opportunity I've been given by keeping my grades up, working hard at my part-time job, and doing everything in my power to make sure I have a smooth life after I graduate. It has been 3 years since I left home, and I've had no contact with my mom. I've never looked back. I prefer it this way because even though it's kind of lonely without any family to look after me, I know that at least my mom is not going to have anything to do with my success in the future, and I'm determined to be successful. It's kind of corny, but I believe that at some point, I will get the opportunity to show her that I don't need her, and neither do I want her in my life. Surprisingly, that opportunity presented itself a lot sooner than I expected, because just a couple of days ago, she showed up at the doorstep of my apartment and told me that I needed to help her out because we're family. I shared my apartment with a couple of friends from college, and one of my roommates opened the door without knowing who it was outside. If she had known, she probably wouldn't have opened it. Anyway, she called me to the door and I had to go meet my mom. It was shocking how much she had aged in just 3 years. She looked like a different version of herself altogether, and it took me a couple of seconds to even recognize her. But when I did, I instantly told her that I did not want to talk to her, and whatever she was here for, she could forget about it and leave. Then she started pleading with me, begging me to at least hear her out. I felt weird just shutting the door in her face, so I decided to hear her out first before rejecting her. For some reason, I genuinely thought she would have a good explanation, but I was disappointed by her yet again. She went on to tell me that in the past couple of years, she and her husband had invested in Fiona's business. Sam had talked her into slowly putting all her money into Fiona's business, which eventually ended up not doing well. Because of that, she did not have a single penny to her name. She was here to ask me for help because Sam had apparently been cheating on her for the past couple of months, with Fiona covering up for him. Now that she has found out, she doesn't even have the money to hire a lawyer to fight for her during the divorce. She was here to ask me for help after having gone through a lot of trouble to even find me. She expected me to support her financially during the divorce because, after all, I'm still her flesh and blood, no matter what has happened in the past. The fact that she actually thought this was going to work with me was so hilarious that I didn't even bother to say anything. I just chuckled and shut the door because saying anything to her was not going to be worth it. I had already learned my lesson. She was not here because she was sorry. She was just here because she needed my help. After shutting the door, I could hear her yelling from the outside, but I did not open it. I also explained to my friends that if she shows up another time, they should just call the cops. A couple of minutes later, after my mom left, my friends came to me and asked me who that was. I had to explain the entire situation to them right from the beginning. A lot of them looked skeptical, but one of them, my closest friend in college, decided to tell me that she could understand I had been treated badly by my mother in the past. But right now, it was evident that my mom really needed my help. She said maybe I wouldn't get a chance to fix things with her in the future, so I should at least speak to her or arrange something for her, if not help her directly. I was shocked that she had this opinion because even though I hadn't exactly told her the entire story, she knew that I did not share a good relationship with my mother and hadn't spoken to her in 3 years after she had kicked me out. So it's not like she was completely clueless. I ended up having a huge fight with her because of what she said. I thought she was being insensitive, And I told her that I didn't even ask for her opinion, so she had no right to offer it and then try to make me feel guilty. But she refused to back down and told me that she said whatever she had been feeling, and she was not going to apologize for speaking her mind. In her opinion, I was being really unreasonable and heartless by refusing to support somebody who is clearly helpless. I think it's pretty much one of the biggest fights I've ever had with a friend, and we haven't been speaking to each other for the past couple of days. My other two roommates are also acting very weird about this whole situation, and I feel very distant from everyone, which feels terrible. Even though I am still in contact with my friends from school, they are all in different colleges all over the country, so I don't really get to see them often. My roommates are the only friends I have here, and I feel really lonely without them. But after that fight I had with Rebecca, I don't even feel good about what I did with my mom. And I've started to think that maybe I acted too rashly, and maybe she does have a point. I have spoken to a couple of my friends from school about it, and all of them have had various kinds of advice. But a lot of them feel that I don't really owe my mother anything. And if I don't want to, then I don't have to help her out. So I should not feel obliged to support her financially right now, especially when she never did the same for me. If Rebecca and my other roommates don't understand that, in spite of knowing the whole story, that's their own problem, and I don't have to deal with it. But I'm still very confused on a personal level. What do you guys think? Am I the asshole now for refusing to support my mother financially after 3 years of no contact? Update 1. Hi, thank you so much for all the comments. I have decided to start looking for a new apartment because the environment here has become very hostile toward me. Even though, apart from Rebecca, none of my other roommates have said anything directly to me, I can sense that they are on her side right now and think I'm being a terrible and heartless person by refusing to support my mother. Honestly, I don't expect them to understand either. All of them have come from very happy and comfortable families. They don't know what I have gone through, and they're extremely lucky they don't. Even when we are on campus, they try to avoid me. I even confronted them about it a couple of days ago, but they denied it. I think it's really funny that they think I'm so stupid I wouldn't even have picked up on the fact that they're avoiding me. At least Rebecca has the courage to be upfront about it. She has been very open about the fact that she doesn't like what I'm doing. Lucky for me, she doesn't have to like what I'm doing anyway. I do have some money set aside, and I've spoken to a couple of other girls in my department who are also sharing an apartment nearby, and they are looking for a new roommate since one of their friends just graduated. I'm not particularly close to these girls, but I need a place to stay because I can't be around these girls anymore. I thought they were my friends, but if they don't understand what I have been through, we are clearly not on the same wavelength. I don't want to be around people who can't even respect and understand my past and the decisions I have made. My friends from school also think I'm doing the right thing, and even if I'm not, I don't really care. It feels right to me, so I'm going to do what I want. It's been close to a week since I posted, and several days have passed since my mom showed up at my apartment. After that, she didn't show up, and neither has she tried to contact me again, so I don't know what she's up to. Honestly, I hope she finds somebody to help her out because otherwise, I know for a fact she's just going to try and latch onto me instead, and I'm not going to entertain that. She's not my mom anymore, and I simply don't want to have anything to do with her. Update 2. Hi. So it has been 3 weeks since I last posted an update here, and I'm now settled in my new apartment with a whole new set of roommates. We're still getting to know each other. The apartment is a bit more cramped than my previous one, but at least they seem to be more welcoming towards me here. When I left my previous apartment, Rebecca and my other two friends did not even say anything. I just informed them one day that I would be moving out the next day, and they didn't even have anything to say to me. They didn't even say goodbye when I finally left. But it's fine, I guess. You can't just resolve some fights and pretend nothing happened. This happened to be one of them. I'm okay. All friendships do have to come to an end at some point, and I'm a bit upset that this one came to an end like this, but well, I can't help it. Anyway, I finally found out how my mom came to know where I was staying. One of my friends told me she had been pestering all the parents of my friend's circle, and one of the moms finally broke. She had constantly been playing the mom card, telling people she deserved to know where her daughter was. So that particular mother got my friend to tell her where I was staying. She didn't even suspect anything, and that's how that information was passed on to my mom. Even if I wanted to, I could not be mad at her because she was one of those people who had contributed when I was struggling financially right before I started college. So I told my friend it was no big deal, even though she was apologizing profusely because she had caused me so much trouble. But I'm grateful to her because, at least because of my mom's reappearance, I got to find out my position in my so-called friends' lives. So it's fine. I don't think I lost anything, and I told her the same. Besides, now that it's already happened once, and I've moved out of that apartment, I don't think it's likely to happen again, and my mom will probably not be able to find me again anytime soon. She hasn't made any other attempts to contact me either, so I'm assuming she doesn't expect me to help her out and isn't interested in talking to me anymore. All things said and done, I do feel a bit curious about what she's actually up to. I know she's financially not doing well right now, so I really do want to know how she's dealing with the situation now that she doesn't have Sam or Fiona by her side anymore. But I'm not going to go seeking out that information. If I find out on my own, then that's fine. Otherwise, I'm still good, even without knowing what happens to her. Update 3. Hi, so it's been almost a month since my last update, and a couple of days ago, my aunt, of all people, finally reached out to me after 3 years. I'd almost forgotten about the whole incident with my mother because I was really busy with work, and I also had my finals week coming up. But anyway, in the email she wrote to me, she told me that my mom had apparently finally confessed the truth to her. It had happened about a week ago, and my aunt wanted to apologize to me for treating me like that and believing my mom instead of hearing me out at least just once. I thought about responding to her, but honestly, that is water under the bridge right now. She did whatever she thought was right at that point in time, and I can't blame her for that because I had never told her that my mom mistreated me or whatever. So she was obviously inclined to believe an adult. Besides, she had no reason to think that my own mother would make up such horrible lies about me. So why would she doubt her even for a second? Anyway, I found it very strange that all of a sudden my mother had told her the truth. So I decided to get in touch with a couple of my relatives who I haven't spoken to in a really long time. And they told me that apparently my mom is going through with the divorce. She's relying heavily on financial help from her friends and family to get through it. She has promised everybody that she's going to try and return all the money she's borrowed from people as soon as the alimony checks start coming in. Judging by the fact that she has hired a really popular divorce attorney, I don't doubt she's going to get the kind of alimony she wants from Sam. She's also probably trying to get back whatever money she had invested in Fiona's business. Honestly, good for her, but I still don't want anything to do with her. I appreciate the fact that she finally decided to come clean to my aunt and fix all the damage that she caused. But it's too late. I ended up not being able to go to the college of my dreams because of what she did, and nothing is ever going to change that. So nothing she does now matters to me. I wish her all the best for the future, and I hope that I don't have to be a part of it. She had told everyone I had contacted that if I do get in touch with them regarding my mom, they should tell me that she's really sorry about whatever she did to me. I've told them to tell her that I accept her apology and that I forgive her, but I no longer want her in my life. I think this is the best and healthiest way for me to get some closure and finally move on from all my crazy family history. Frankly speaking, I already feel a lot better now.